Hello.
Hi.
That was awkward. Hey there, it's my advent calendar. How do you start these things? Well, you start from where you start, I guess. I keep looking over there, not there. But, yeah. Let me do something I'm comfortable with. I got a zit. There. That works. Hi, my name is Shane. You don't know who I am. And if you do, thank you for watching. Oh geez. As you can tell, I'm well prepared for this adventure. My name is Shane. I've been doing blogging for a long time. How does one prepare for putting themselves on camera and not feeling like a complete loser? I wanted to do an advent calendar for a long time. I wanted to do a video blog for the first 24 days of December. And but I wanted to do it differently. I wanted to do something unique. And for the last few years, I have attempted and failed. Which is unusual because I've written blogs for a long time. And I've written books about it and had them published. And people paid me money for my opinion. And I eventually turned to podcasting, audio stuff, you know, talk to people that hopefully were listening. But I've never done video. And I thought that a really good format, a format would be an advent calendar. I don't know why. Some of the people on YouTube I follow, they do that. So, but of course they do it for a living and I don't. So, I mean, I kind of do this for a living. So I'm nervous. Which is weird. But at the same time it's a good thing because if you're not nervous about it, then you shouldn't do it. And so here I am, sitting in my car, in my parking garage, without a single plan, no idea. And I think that's the power of doing this, is having a plan to a certain degree, but really just kind of letting it flow. So some of you might think this sucks, some of you might think it's boring, some of you might not think anything. So, but at the end of the day, at least I'm the one doing it. I've spent a lot of time in the last few months sort of doing research. I mean, there's a lot of video bloggers online that I like, and I watch them because they're interesting. They tell their story the way they want to tell it, and you know, some are fascinating to watch. Definitely, probably not this one. But the rest of them are, you just learn about people and their stories, and I think that's important. And I might do this continually, you never know, but I'm not used to it. I'm not used to this at all. I don't quite know how people record themselves in a visual medium. That's something that I've done very little of. I've done so much audio, I've done so much text, I've done so many images, photographs, things like that. But video, I've strayed away from because it's not my level of expertise, I guess. But interestingly enough, something I do have, okay, I don't have any expertise in it, but being that this is an advent calendar, which by the way, this is day number 2. And day number 2 because I actually forgot to do, well, I didn't forget. I got busy last night and I recorded a bunch of stuff, but for some reason I didn't record the audio. So I had about 10 minutes of video that I I didn't actually have audio for. Like, there was no... I was sitting there going... And, you know, that's all I got out of that. So, I also didn't want to do something in front of my computer. I sit... Actually, I have a standing desk, so I stand at my desk all day long. And I have some Christmas lights up and some stuff like that, but I don't really want to do it there because I am there all the time, and I record audio there and all kinds of things. So doing video in this sort of sense is it's new. I've not done this before, at least not to this extent. I've talked longer right now than I have talked in a very long time to any camera. So I hope that gives you kind of a slight idea of sort of what pain I'm going through. Anyway, just to get this out of the way. So anyway, the advent calendar I'm doing, which requires my keys, and you'll see why. Am I doing this right? You'll see why in a moment. Requires me to do to expand beyond my normal thing, but at the same time, talk about beer. So what I did this year is, which I tried to do last year, but I ran out of time, or interest, one of the two, was to do a beer a day. So today, day number 2, which, by the way, I'm planning on doing a double beer day on day 24. So I'm not going to miss that beer, but it was very, it's a good beer. And I'm kind of glad I'm saving it. So anyway, today, Red Racer Pilsner. I don't know how much you guys know about beer. I know very little. I just enjoy it. But as I'm getting older, I'm noticing I'm not drinking as much. But anyway, so Red Racer is it's a decent beer. I've had it before, and it's where the hell is this from? It's a Bavarian tradition. I don't remember where these guys are from. Oh, Surrey. Oh, excellent. Surrey. For those of you who don't live in the Vancouver area, Surrey is a little bit to the southeast, and it's a large city, and apparently they make beer. So anyway, I'm gonna open this up here. I'm in my car, which let me tell you why I'm in the car. Like, because I wanted to keep this a bit unique, and I wanted it to be different. I wanted it to be something that was not the same as everything else. I've noticed a lot of video bloggers tend to be somewhat, I don't know, different in very unique ways, but a lot of them are the same thing. They tend to go in front of their machines, they tend to talk at their desks, they tend to do things like that. So, and bear with me because I'm not used to this at all. I mean, I have my camera, which I've had for a few years, but I've never used it for this. I've used it to shoot other stuff, and so it might not work out so well, and I might not have the framing quite the way that experts think they should. But I just wanted to do this because it's pushing me out of my, as I said before, or alluded to, out of my comfort zone. Because I'm going to take this video, put it into an editor, cut some of it out, because I've got some chaff I have to get rid of, but and throw it online. Because that's what I'm planning on doing. Like, let me first of all try the Red Racer Pilsner. Anyway, so to tell you a very long story in about a short amount of time, at least I hope, is I said earlier that I've been paid to talk about blogging, and I have, and I've done a lot of blogging, and in all kinds of formats. I mean, I was on audio blogs, which right now is the renaissance time of audio podcasting. At least that's a story in itself, which I might tell tomorrow. But essentially, I've been doing this for a long time, but the one component I never quite did was the video part, and for a lot of reasons, body image was definitely a very large one. Because in 2012, at the very end of the year, I broke my foot. I broke my ankle, specifically, the tibia, medial malus, or whatever it was called. So I broke that, and up until that point I've been doing quite well health-wise because I had been exercising, and we run a boot camp every morning. Those of you who know who I am know that we do this boot camp. We do it 3 days a week, early in the morning. And it was doing really well. I was losing weight, I was trimming out, I was getting more muscle mass. Then I go to Saskatchewan for the holidays, and I apparently ran into the only tree they have there on a toboggan. So I was going down the hill, and I was going a bit too fast, and I knew I was going too fast, so I tried to stop the toboggan. And unfortunately I had borrowed a winter jacket, because being from the west coast of Canada, you don't have winter clothing. It doesn't get as cold as the rest of the country because of the mountains and the ocean and all that kind of stuff. So I was going down this hill, and I was out of control a bit, and so I tried to get off, and the jacket I'd borrowed had these ties on it, and the tie, I noticed sadly right at the very last second, that I had got it caught under the board I was on, the toboggan I was on, and I couldn't get off the board because the direction I had chosen to roll off didn't work out so well. And so I tried to turn the board. I tried to get off essentially of this toboggan, and it didn't work out at all. And I brushed by a tree, a very small tree, it was about that big round, and I brushed by it, and my foot caught the edge, like the outside edge of it. Just the outside edge of the foot kind of did this, like that, really fast, like very fast. And I felt a lot of warmth in my ankle, which I knew was a bad sign. So my instant reaction was that I probably had sprained it. So I got off the board because it stopped, and I walked up to the I stood up, sorry, and I tried to walk, and I put my foot down, my right foot, and I put it down, and you know when you look at your feet and you're walking, and it's something that I've experienced years and years ago when you're getting a piggyback from your parents, or you're sitting on their shoulders, and you look down at their feet, and their feet kind of look funny because they're walking, but you're not a part of it anyway. So I was looking down at my foot, and I put it down on the ground, which at that point was probably 2 feet of snow. And I put my foot down, and I just put a little pressure on it, and it hurt a little bit, not a lot. But I noticed that my leg moved a bit to one side, a bit too far. So my instant reaction was, well, I've pulled it, so I've obviously done some damage, but maybe it's okay. And then I started to climb the hill, which didn't work out as well as I'd hoped. I thought that the toboggan would be a good crutch, and anyway, it just was stupid. So eventually I got to the very top of the hill, and then with some help from one of the people I was with, because they finally noticed that, where's Shane? He's not there. What's going on? So he helped me up to the rest of the way, and then I put my foot. We got to the parking lot at the top of the hill, the only hill in Regina, by the way. If you've been to Regina, flat, one hill. Anyway, so I got to this hill, and then I got to the top of the hill, and I put my foot down just for a split second on the flat concrete, or the packed dirt or whatever it was at the top where the parking lot was, and that hurt. That's when I realized that I had done some serious damage. So I did that, and long story short, 2 screws later, and a year of recovery, really. I mean, sometimes actually it hurts now, and this is the sad part, is that you break stuff and it kind of hurts after a while. Anyway, that's a long way of telling you that I had bought, well, I guess growing up, and here's the weird part, I'm a guy. I'm a dude. I am a male. And in theory, we're not supposed to suffer from such things about body image and whatnot. But I learned a very good lesson about that after the breakage, after the surgery, and after the 8-10 weeks of recovery, just to get to the point where you can put your foot on the ground without falling over. That guys do suffer from body image, and I discovered that right away from trying to do a video blog a couple times. And not liking what I was seeing. not liking what was going on the screen, because at one level you kind of wonder if you're being interesting, you kind of wonder if you're being different or unique, or if you're saying the right things or if you're saying the wrong things. But that's part of being a human being. You are not perfect. But when you throw yourself on video, you start to judge yourself in different ways, which is unfortunate because you shouldn't. But anyway, because I've been an authority on web content and things like that for a lot of years now. I think the first book came out in 2008, I think. Google me, you'll find me. But there's a lot of things about that as the evolution of putting content online has gone on, because when I was writing about blogging first, Twitter didn't exist. Twitter was nothing. It had only just started. Same for YouTube, actually, to be honest. YouTube was a brand new player. It was something weird that people had thought about because it solved a problem that we as bloggers had forever. And I remember back in 2004, 2005 talking about video blogs and having to worry about codecs and all these sorts of technical things that browsers didn't understand. Of course, now we have HTML5 and things like that. And by the way, if you haven't noticed already, that's what I am. So anyway, you know, there's things that I've talked about for years, for many years, and I've always been the behind the scenes kind of guy. I've always been that dude that makes that thing happen. And in the past few years, I've actually wanted to stop being the behind the scenes kind of guy. I wanted to be more out front, to be, you know, this is the stuff I do, this is the stuff that I teach people, and this is the stuff that I've been doing for so long that it didn't exist for most of you. I mean, hell, I've got clients that are you know, were born in 2001. You know, their kids wanting to do stuff, and you know, I mean, I don't want to. Here's the thing about nerds, by the way, we don't like tooting. We don't like tooting our horns all that often, and it's because of who we are. A lot of nerds are introverts. Surprise! And when they put themselves out there on the web, or they put themselves out there in general, you know, doing a talk at an event of some sort, they don't like to reveal who they are, and that's kind of weird. God. Yeah, so it takes a lot of effort for people like me to do what I'm doing right now, and the beer definitely helps. And this is actually one of the reasons that I think, this is actually not the reason, I only did this to get loaded! No. It's actually, surprisingly, it's actually a format. Introverts do really well with formats. If you are somebody who wants to do something but you're too nervous to actually do it, a format helps. I mean, you do this in writing exercises and all kinds of things, and it helps when you have something that you can actually do that has a structure, you know. So my idea for doing the Advent calendar, which was about 3 years ago, so 2011, 12, no, actually it was 2011. 2011, thinking about doing this, and of course now 3 years later, you see Advent calendars for beer all over the place. Like the beer that I have in my hand is from an Advent thing produced by 2 different breweries. So they got together and decided, let's mix up, you know, 24 of our different beers, and then I'm hoping there's no repeats. Maybe there are, but yeah. I decided that was a really good format to actually follow. So, I mean, I'm kind of explaining why I'm doing, or what I'm doing, or why I'm doing it, but really, it's telling you, I hope, an interesting story to actually find out a bit about me. Because I am, as I said, I'm behind the scenes a lot of the time. The majority of the work I do online, you will never know I did it because I am not the face of whatever project it is. And I think that some days I just want a little more, you know, I want a little more, you know, sparkle. I want a little more love, I guess. Because a lot of what I do is quite boring. I mean, that's the reality. It requires technical expertise, it requires planning and strategy and things like that, but ultimately, very rarely do I step out in front of the camera, be it a blog post or audio post or whatever. So yeah, if you want to know what I do, just Google my name, you'll find me everywhere. Hard to miss me, I think, actually. So yeah, so my format for this plod? What is the alcohol content of this thing? The format of this is just really more or less to get myself out of my comfort zone. I've spent, I think, a bit too much time in my comfort zone, and I'm not quite ready to carry a camera around in public. Not that my parking garage is that public, but on my way down to the garage, I ran into like 4 different groups of people, some in the hallway, some in the stairwell. I thought I'd sit in the stairwell and be very quiet and talk to the camera and no one would notice. But I've retreated to the comfort of my car, a familiar place, so there you go. And I think I'm gonna, something I've wanted to do for a long time is I like to play video games. I'm a nerd after all. And, you know, I like all that nerd culture and stuff like that, but I haven't, you know, embraced it. I haven't jumped into the deep end and really sort of absorbed a lot of it, because unfortunately, being an introvert you tend to hide that kind of stuff. Or, you don't necessarily hide it on purpose, but it's not something you start a conversation with. You know how much Pokemon Red I played? You know, because a lot of the people I know would be like, what are you talking? What is, okay, A, what is Pokemon? And 2, what is Pokemon Red? Like, nobody knows what that is. Which, by the way, I have played Pokemon Red only a smattering of times because I had a Game Boy years and years ago, but it was a hand-me-down, like it was a used one, and it broke. And Pokemon was the only game I really had, aside from Mario World, things like that. But there's all these kinds of, you know, things that I've experienced growing up that I wanted to share, and I'm sharing a little bit too much. Or am I? This is the scariest thing somebody can do, by the way. If you've never recorded yourself on video, you might not ever know the fear that bubbles up from the guts of oneself. Because earlier I was talking about body image, and I actually ran away from that topic somewhat, because talking about body image is not necessarily that sexy. Not because of it being not sexy, but because it digs really into who you are. It pokes the little tiny monsters inside of your soul that if you try and make them interesting, you know, you tend, or make them interesting, to reveal them, sorry, is what I meant to say, you will run away. You will run away in terror, because you don't want to reveal yourself that much. You really, really don't. And there's a very few, I think, that are comfortable in every single way when it comes to revealing who they are. Like right now, I'm thinking, you know, there's not enough light here. There's not enough going on. It's too dark. Who knows? I may be able to fix it when I put this together, but maybe not. Maybe I won't. Maybe I'll like most of my audio podcasts. I don't edit at all. I talk and talk and talk, and then I put it online, and it's the way that the beast works, because the audio is easier to deal with. You don't have the visual component, and a lot of people don't like the visual component. There's some people that they, I don't know, maybe they're video majors, or they've done some video work in the past. They've done it professionally. Or editors, or whatever. It's people that deal with video, and maybe they've gone out and they've done a lot of the behind-the-scenes stuff, but then they've decided they jump in front of the camera and do things. So a lot of them, I think anyway, are very comfortable doing it. But when I was 3 years ago thinking about doing a video blog, I didn't, because it terrified me in such a way that I really didn't know what to do about it. And so when I was brave enough, when I felt brave enough, I broke my foot. Which, the worst time thing ever. I mean, it's not something you plan. It's a complete and utter accident. And you know, you just don't feel comfortable for some reason. And so anyway, I broke my foot. I gained a bunch of weight, just because, I mean, you sit around for 6 months. I mean, it kind of depends on what kind of break it is. I mean, for me, it was 3 months. Doing a lot of sitting around and feeling sorry for yourself. But, you know, so I did that for quite some time, and then, you know, about 18 months later, I'm struggling to get back into, I guess, fighting weight or whatever. Being able to actually do this kind of stuff without fear. I think that's ultimately what I wanted to talk about in my first video post, is the fear that people feel when they put themselves out there. And then the reality is that we had... I'm just going to pause for a sec as my neighbors walk by. It's pretty cool people. And they probably see me drinking beer in my car in a garage late at night. Now I'm picturing people in my building that are going to be turning around going, my God, did you see Shane drinking beer in his car last night? Like, what the hell's wrong with him? What's going down? Fact is, I'm doing a video blog that I've wanted to do for a long time, and it's very terrifying, and I feel self-conscious about everything, and I'm not going to look in their direction. They're looking at me right now, and which I can see on the periphery there. Yeah. Yeah. Sexy. So anyway, I derailed myself because the neighbors showed up. But that's the nature of the beast. Unless you've written things down, which I haven't, you will probably, I'd say, out of the 10 listeners that or the 10 viewers that I might have, probably one of them still here. And I thank you for that. But essentially, to rewind a bit, broke my foot, felt bad about, you know, gaining weight and stuff, but I've lost a bunch of it again, and I'm on the way, but, you know, my ankle's still not 100%. So, you know, it's going to be a bit of a long road, I think. Like, I started a zombie 5K, and so I'm doing that a little bit. But essentially, you know, putting yourself out there is a really dangerous thing, because the internet is not friendly. I don't care what you say. The internet is 5% awesome people, and the rest of them just need to figure out what their passion is in their life and not be such a jerk to everybody else. And you know what? I think this video is long enough. I think I've spoken enough, and I think I will bow out, and I will see you tomorrow for day number 3 of my beer advent calendar. Hopefully I'll be more focused. That's kind of a wish of mine. So thank you for watching. Thank you for checking me out. Please rate, subscribe, let me know what you think. This is the first episode, so every first episode kind of sucks. So if it sucks,